It is time for our morning conversation, and today we do have a guest in studio. He is a policy and political analyst, and what we want to discuss is basically some of what we mentioned earlier on, and it's about the presidency. Is rotational presidency the way to go? Is rotational presidency the way to go? Why are we asking rotational presidency? Kwa sababu of course watu wanakuanga wakizusha ati we've only been ruled by two tribes since the beginning of our democracy and so on and so forth. So we want to understand from the perspective of Odoyo Owidi whether rotational presidency or if there's any other formula of presidency, by the way, that we can employ. So Mr. Owidi, karibu tena sana to Radio Generation.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
I've never seen a beautiful station like Radio Generation station.
Wow. Really?
I don't know if I always go to bad ones or poorly groomed ones. Some you go, the wall is on your nose.
Yes.
Yes, but I don't want to name them because it is not good to do it here.
Right.
But thumbs up for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, and considering that Radio Generation is also not very old.
Yes.
It is something good worth talking about.
All right, sawa.
Yes.
In the conversation, first of all, allow me to reintroduce my co-host. This is Patricia Waiwa. My name is Mungala Mbuvi, and the question that people have been asking for quite a while is all about whether the formula that we have of the presidency so far is working for Kenya. So I don't know, what are your thoughts as far as that is concerned?
Actually, it is something I have spoken about multiple times on social media, on radio stations, on TV stations across the country.
Right.
And I think it is the best thing that would ever happen to this country. Because I have noticed there's a sense of entitlement in the presidency by the larger communities. Let's just be honest and say by the larger tribes.
Right.
There is some sense of entitlement that even those who are seeking political partners, seeking the presidency, if you are from, say, the Kikuyu community, you want to get your partner either from Luo, Kalenjin, Kamba or Luya. That is it.
Yes.
It's like the other people don't exist in the country. But again, the entitlement is greater when your number is greater. And as you come down, the entitlement comes lower.
Right.
And what I have seen today, since President William Ruto became the president, actually made me start thinking.
Okay.
Because I have noticed some of the things he's accused of having done that look so big, like he has murdered the whole country, are things that were casually done by the past presidents. Some of the atrocities that were done in the last protest. For example, there was a time there were protests after, I think, the 2017 general elections.
Right.
And there were protesters protesting from town towards Serena. There was a guy who came in a Land Cruiser from State House with speakers on top and ran through the crowd. Nothing happened. Nobody was arrested. And incidentally, the local media did not cover it more than one day ahead.
Okay.
Today, one person would be talked about for months on end. And I think this is something that has been orchestrated, and I see it as a community battle against a president who is not from their community. Because I see the rage and the vitriol poured by some politicians from certain communities against the person of President William Ruto.
Yeah.
And that is why I think to ease them down, to know that a time cannot be theirs all the time.
Yes.
It is time sometimes they become kingmakers and look for a president and not be the ones.
Right.
Because when they are the ones seeking it, they put everything into it. In fact, some of the protests that we saw, for example, the very last one, if you ask me, it was very unnecessary. Because when you go to protest, there must be a very clear demand that you want the government to do, such that when it is done, you get out of the streets.
Right.
What was it that if it was done, they would get out of the streets? Fine. They told us they want to commemorate the 35-year ago Sabasaba.
Yes.
And yet they told us we are the Gen Zs. Of course, they were not. The people behind that are not Gen Zs. But this thing happened before they were born. And even if that is not the case, because we celebrate Madaraka Day and Jamhuri Day, even by people who are not born then. But why don't we look back and say, how come throughout the President Mwai Kibaki period and the Uhuru Kenyatta period, this Sabasaba was not an issue to be celebrated?
Yes.
Suddenly they want to celebrate it. And it is not to be celebrated in stadia like we celebrate Madaraka Day. In halls, like sometimes we do Jamhuri Day or Mashoja Day. We want to go to the streets. And not just the streets, the CBD. And we want to engage the police in battles. A celebration is where people go in happiness. We sit down, watch, and enjoy the entertainments that are around, and wait for the speeches that would come, the inspirational speeches. This is not what was happening.
Well,
it was clearly an attempt to remove the president out of office. And that is why we have been having protests, even commemorating the last year's so-called Gen Z protests. So my digging in, my investigations tells me that what is happening is an attempt by a community who feel entitled to the presidency to take the presidency of a person they believe should not be sitting on that seat.
Okay.
And that is why I think once we go and have a rotational presidency, it will be clear who should go for that presidency and who shouldn't go for that.
Right.
I know there are people who will tell me about discrimination, who will tell me about democracy and so on. But in this country, we have affirmative actions where we tumetenga viti zingine kwa wamama.
Mr. Owidi, nataka nikusumbue tu kidogo. Kindly move to this microphone. This one seems to be having a problem. So as you move to the, if Patricia, you can just help him a bit, asonge kwa hiyo microphone, so that we can get the audio vizuri. We seem to be having a problem with the first one. Now, as Mr. Odoyo does that, again, the question we're asking is about rotational presidency and the way to go. The thing that has been very prominent as far as this conversation is concerned is what he has rightly pointed out, and it has got everything to do with tribal politics, something that we have always been against in this particular studio. Na tumeongelea tukasema hapana, things need to be done differently. Is the leader at your grassroots level doing what is supposed to be done as far as weeding out tribal politics is concerned? So Mr. Odoyo, I think now we can hear you correctly, yeah?
Sure.
Nakusikia vizuri sasa.
Okay.
Let's continue. You were just pick up from where you left in terms of just saying that.
Yes, I was trying to
why
explain
some
to you.
Tribes feel disenfranchised.
Yes. We have had a country here,
right,
where once upon a time, President Uhuru told Kenyans that those who come to the streets to destroy public or private property, we will take you home in coffins. We are in a country where during President Mwai Kibaki, one John Michuki told the Maasai that if you don't stop the fight against the Kikuyu in Enosupukia, we will shoot you on sight. And 2 days later, the Maasais were shot as they were running away from the battlefield. And we did not see the vitriol being poured here. We did not see the anger. We did not see the media carving that on end. We did not hear the media asking Michuki to resign or the then president Kibaki to resign. In this country, we saw a scenario where instead of asking CA authority to close down media houses, the relatives of the president walked into newsrooms and pulled cameras. And pulled computers off the wall and slapped a journalist. And we did not see the vitriol being poured on Ruto today then. That is why there's a sense of entitlement. And the war against Ruto is not about President William Ruto being a bad president. He's coming from the wrong community.
So you're saying that this anger is towards the community?
This anger is a community feeling that it is only them who are entitled to the presidency. And it is not everybody. The rest are being pushed into it. But you know, naturally, when your relative is the one saying something you believe in more. I was once a teacher, and I had the misfortune of having to deal with 2 parents and 2 children who are fought. Parent A believes his child A was the one who was on the right. B also, even when it is clear that probably A is wrong. They will never agree with you. And they don't ever agree with what the other child is saying. Naturally, even when you saw every Luo support Raila, every Kikuyu was supporting Uhuru, then it is not that those people were goaded. No. And they don't even realize that I am stuck on Raila because he's from my community. No. They don't realize that. But many times, it is instinct in them to believe him, whatever he says. And it is inbuilt in them not to believe the other side. So at the end of the day, you discover it is him you support. So what we are seeing today is tribal entitlement. Take, for example, Martha Karua.
Okay.
And Jeremiah Kioni.
All right.
They were with Raila Odinga on the streets when Raila Odinga was trying to remove President William Ruto by asking, open the server, let's see what is in the server, and then you go home. But when Raila Odinga walked out of the streets, they remained in the streets and joined their son, Rigathi Gachagua, on the streets against President William Ruto. Do you think there's anything they believe in? No. These are people who have been with everybody. They have been in the Ruto camp, they have been in the Raila camp, they were in the Kibaki camp. So it is not about what is wrong or right. Yeah. It is about what is good for their community. People have asked me before, Owidi, but the Kikuyu voted for President William Ruto knowing he was a Kalenjin. Yes, because they had two devils. And to them, devil Raila Odinga and devil William Ruto, devil William Ruto to them that was time better. Was the better. They did not have a credible Kikuyu candidate. They have told me before. Already. But Mwaige Mwaura was a Kikuyu. He was not credible. He was not a believable candidate. He was those people that in a race help others to keep pace. They are pacemakers. They were to keep numbers on the ballot papers to make it look like a competition. There are people who are seeking an opportunity to be known across the country.
So Mr. Odoyo, if we were to have a rotational presidency,
yes,
how exactly would that work?
How exactly? I know it would be people have also asked me that before, because this is something I've talked about multiple times. That how would it work in a country where we have close to 42 tribes?
Actually, there are 44 and counting.
Let me tell you what is going to happen. We do not have to have a period of 44 terms. 44 terms would be 44 times 5. No. We are going to say once your community has gone for a 2-term, you wait for another 4 terms, that is 20 years, before you present a candidate. Now, it will be very important that we define community or define tribe. Because you see, we have communities which have sub-tribes.
Yes.
Like the Luya and the Kalenjin. So we will have to define and say, if you belong to the Kalenjin community, you normally vote together, because it is what happens that inspires new laws. So once your person has gone to, you will have to remain a kingmaker for that period.
Okay.
Once, and then after some time, you can be back on the ballot. So still, their communities will never be, because of their numbers, because that rotational period is short, and we cannot have to put a very long one. Otherwise, we would be in a lot of trouble.
Because the question, of course, I was about to ask is that issue of when will other tribes ever get the opportunity to rule the country? Looking at now the democratic way of voting that we do in our country. Or is it another way of killing democracy also in our country?
It is not a way of killing democracy, because it is worse off now when some larger tribes feel entitled. It is worse, because they will always gang up too, and they can have a ping pong ball in between them. If it were not for the selfish of certain people, the Kikuyu community and the Kalenjin community could have this thing even forever. Because they have the numbers. And having numbers and you are already in power,
yes,
is something that they can use. I know there was an election in 2007.
Yes.
In Mombasa, the election began very late. People fought until midday on fights that were instigated by the then Kibaki government, because it was clear that Raila Odinga was going to beat Kibaki, and of course he did. In 2007, that was a coup. So they can do what is called voters enfranchisement. So you go to a place where you think your opponent has numbers.
Support,
and you ensure that people begin to vote midday, or there is intermittent vote throughout the day.
So no voting.
No
occurs.
voting, because you are in power. So when you have the numbers and then you are in power, it is very difficult to remove you from office. So there has to be a constitutional way of removing you from office, or giving you a break for a certain period, so that people rethink. That is what I am talking about. And that brings me to something that I've thought about. It is not so related, but I want to say it here so that you can remain thinking about it.
Sure.
There is something in this country called women rep. It was introduced as an affirmative action so that we have enough women in the National Assembly. But when these women got to the National Assembly, this thing was supposed to have given them impetus to promote them so that in future they can compete at par with men. But now we have women reps who have been there for 5 terms. I mean, 3 terms. And they are going to the 4th one. And they are not leaving. And this thing was just meant to give them an opportunity to compete with men at par. So that is another place where we need to change the constitution and say, you go for women rep only once and you leave for another. After you go for that one, go and contest against men now. You have been empowered.
So, Odoyo, let me ask you also another question. In regards to this whole situation, what if we do it like Malaysia? Malaysia has got a rotational monarchy. But theirs is safe or easy to work with, because I think they have about 5 or 7 major clans or tribes. So they just rotate. After a while, today we have a Luo king, kidogo another day we have a Kalenjin king, siku ingine tuko na a Kamba king, and so on and so forth. Is it possible here in this country to have one 5-year term, where we can have, like right now we have a Kalenjin and a Kikuyu, right? Or right now we have a Meru. Then in the next election, they are not allowed to run. So that means no Kalenjin, no Kikuyu, no Meru. Then we have a Kisi and say a Luya. They become president and another one becomes deputy. They agree who becomes deputy, who becomes president. And then hao wanatoka. Then in another term, we have a Kamba. Mkamba amekuwa vice president before, so hakuna Mkamba. So we have like a Masai and we have a Kuria. Is it possible to work out something like that, such that one is president, the other one is DP?
It is possible, but also we must remember that the law cannot apply retrogressively. We cannot go and say, you see, when President William Moi removed Section 2A, and then we also had fixed in the Constitution a presidential term limit.
Yes.
President Moi did not count the many years he had been president before. His presidential term limit started then when the law was made.
Yes.
Because we cannot apply the law retrogressively.
Okay.
We cannot backdate a law. So if we start now, we cannot backdate that law. But again, the problem with giving somebody one fixed term, they work like what I go with now is what is mine. You need to work in such a way that people say, let's vote him one more time.
Okay.
Let's give him another opportunity. And again, for a national government projects, some take much longer than 10 years.
Yes.
I don't think there's any that would go beyond. For example, if you wanted to build the Rironi-Mau Summit highway, it could take more than 5 years. It is good to see your project through.
Okay.
Because there are some people who are capable of abandoning projects begun by other presidents because they are trying to deny not only that president a legacy, but sometimes even a community. You don't want to be said it is so and so who did this. You know, the other day I saw somebody write in social media that President Mwai Kibaki gave us the free primary education and the Thika superhighway, and they told us Uhuru gave us the SGR and the expressway. What is Ruto's legacy? I think we are not being fair.
Okay.
Those people were in office for 10 years. Ruto has been in office for
3 years.
3
years. 3 actually. Even the 3 is not over from the date he was put in.
Right.
But remember, the most magnificent stadium around the region is Talanta. And it is being built at a pace we have never seen before.
Salanta Stadium?
Yes, it is being built at a very fast rate. And today, if you go to Kisumu, for the first time, they are seeing residential skyscrapers with the lifts. That is the affordable housing. It is something they walk around to see. Kisumu was becoming a dead city where there are not those building cranes. You know them?
Yeah.
The one that towers over. Many children are living in Kisumu, they have never seen them because there was nothing being built. Today they walk around to see how those things work. That is going on. And President William Ruto has made sure that every community have their share of development. He even went to an island called Mfangano.
Yes.
And ensured there is a road and vehicles can move there. And ensured there is a ferry that would be taking people with their vehicles there to use. In the lake region, there is supposed to be a ring road connecting the towns. And that road is being done. And this is only 2 years. And the people are already asking, what is his legacy? And the biggest thing that is bigger than Mwai Kibaki's free primary education is the SHA. That thing is bigger than bigness in itself. Because SHA is the organization, yeah?
Yes.
In SHA, we have SHIF.
Yes.
Which is identical to NHIF.
Right.
But now covers 22 million people compared to NSSF 4 million people.
Okay.
In that one, there is Health Infrastructure Fund, HIF. And in that, there is Primary Health Care Fund. Why this is separate from SHIF, it is because primary health care will be granted to anyone who registers with the SHA, even if you have not contributed.
Okay.
There is chronic diseases, chronic illnesses and emergency diseases fund. That again will be provided whether you contribute or not.
Okay.
And this thing is working because it has come a time where some bills are paid in full. Why it is not being seen as that big? Because there are some people who have captured legacy media houses to campaign against President William Ruto and anything he stands for, anything he attempts to do. Look at the scenario. The president says we are going to have national livestock vaccination for the country so that the meat we take abroad is accepted as disease-free. They campaigned against that thing until it was shelved. Because most of the livestock in the country belong to individuals. And you have convinced individuals that that thing is bad without evidence, without knowledge of its badness. And before, when I was growing up, we used to have animal vaccinations. So it is something, a campaign against the person of the president. Even this idea that people walk and gaslight interior CS or gaslight the president, that the police using firearms when the protests turn violent, when protests turn to robbery, is wrong. It is not wrong. If I was in that seat, I would have stood my ground and told them, if you come to peacefully protest, you will go back with your life how you came with it.
Okay, I think we are not going to get into that because, Mbuvi, there is a lot to say about the Maandamano. Let us just get back to what we are looking at, the rotational presidency. Because if we go to that line, you're saying that if you were the one, you will come and be firm on whatever you are saying. It's not going to work well. I guess because we have we have critics of what has been happening. A lot has been said about what has been happening. Let us just concentrate with the rotational presidency.
It is okay. It is okay, but those are the reasons that are informing the idea of rotational presidency, because that kind of gaslighting was not done to the previous presidents. That because the previous presidents were from one community. They did never see anything wrong with the things they did. Do you know how many people died in the 2007 post-election violence? 100,500 plus. And that thing died like that. In the 2017, people died many, many more. And there were no serious protests. The GSU was put at your doorstep in Kibra, in Mathare, in Kariobangi, in Korogocho. And there was even a case where a tear gas canister was fired into a woman's house and the baby was killed instantly. How long did the media cover that? Once, and that was it.
So are you saying that people are judging President Ruto unfairly because of the community that he comes from, or because He has not finished his term yet. Yesterday he was actually saying that tumpatie nafasi, give me time and then judge me at the right moment. And I think at the right moment he meant during the elections in 2027.
And they are behaving with President William Ruto like a teacher walking into a classroom where a student is doing exam,
right,
and keep on telling him, you are failing, and he has only done question 1 and 2 out of 100. You are failing, you are going to fail, you have failed. And you are having a stick in your hand. And so he can't even think to complete the work.
All right.
There are even many projects that the president began that we have gaslighted him into stopping them. I can't even understand how a sane person would come and say that a church in State House is wrong. Because State House is a public institution. I think just like the military headquarters. The military headquarters as a church.
The problem with that, and I think someone sat here in one of the conversations, I think this week, and they said the problem is in the communication that the government is putting out. For instance, right now you've told us about the affordable housing situation in Kisumu. A lot of people are focused on the ones in Nairobi, all right, Kule Mukuru. And that is what they're pointing out and they're picking out and they're having a conversation about. No one is talking about the one in Kisumu. You've just said that we have cranes in Kisumu constructing houses there. And that is a good thing. I am happy for the people of Kisumu who are going to benefit from those houses.
It is not even only in Kisumu. It is all over the country.
And anywhere else that they're being constructed.
I saw the advertisement.
The problem then is the fact that government is not, first of all, advertising their own projects well. They're not talking about their own projects in a good way. However, people who are opposed to the government, whether it's the opposition or Gen Z or whoever, they are quick to point out the problems because the problems are louder. You see, problems don't need a PR campaign. If you don't have food, you don't have food, and you'll talk about not having food. If you're not employed, you'll go to the streets because you're not employed, and so on and so forth. If you've gone to the hospital, if you've presented your SHA details na SHA haijakusaidia, of course you'll go to the streets and say hii SHA haifanyi kazi. So I believe it is up to the government to ensure that people know SHA inafanya kazi and up to what level. Nyumba zimejengwa up to where. Barabara zimejengwa na nini zimefanyika and also it should be tangible. I believe it is our guest yesterday, Dr. Muluka, who said that government needs to work and seen to be working, not just work chini ya maji tuamke tu siku moja tupate barabara na hatujui ilianza aje na inaenda wapi. So that is a problem, I believe, from my perspective and where I sit. Government is just not doing enough to be seen and heard.
Mbuvi.
Yes.
It is very difficult for the government when the legacy media have chosen to be a co-conspirator against President William Ruto.
Okay.
I saw a media house the previous night gave a serious critic of the president in the name of a party secretary general. 2 hours on end to talk negative about the government from one statement to another. And at that point in time, the other major media houses were monitoring, and the next day they were all talking about what this person was saying in another media house.
Right.
The president did not even announce what was happening in State House as building of a church. Building of a church is a small thing that is happening in the country. Every day churches are being built by members of the public, members of the civil service. Those are the people building churches. Churches by tradition are not supposed to build by the people only. In fact, the first church ever to be built, the famous first temple that King David collected resources to build, was done by the state. King David collected resources, and his son Solomon, who succeeded him, built the first temple at the ridge of the Temple Mount, very close to the then palace of King Solomon.
Okay.
And that is not all I want to say about that. The contribution of King David was equivalent to 1.3 trillion Kenya shillings today. In gold only. I have not talked about the silver. I have not talked about the wood. I have not talked about the rubies.
Okay.
I have just picked because the amount of gold was very clear. It was 3,000 talents. That is 1 talent is 34.7 kilograms.
Okay.
And you convert that in gold and convert into dollars and then Kenya shillings. It's equivalent
Utapata bei.
that was the king doing that.
All right.
Now, when President William Ruto says, even though I am the president, I am also a churchgoer. To God, I am like Odoyo Owidi and Mbuvi. So I have to contribute. And you contribute according to what you can afford.
Okay.
And when he looked through the window at State House and saw 2 churches in the compound of State House, which were Mabati structures, then he says, why don't I? Because even the Odoyo Owidi, who is a believer out there, would not be able to see that we have a problem of church in State House. And State House is a public institution,
Right.
just like the military barracks, which have churches and mosques, just like the universities, which have churches and mosques, just like all
Even high
other-
schools.
Even high schools.
So, Mr. Odoyo, there's something that you have said. You've quoted David of the Bible and how they built the biggest temple, actually the first, yeah. But now there's the aspect of David also did involve the people. You have talked of there was them who are being sent to bring wood, others were being told to
Correct,
bring this and
correct.
this and this and this and this. So I think from where I see it, this is just my opinion, that Kenyans felt that this needed to have been transparent enough, because you realize that what happened later on, what the Kenyans realized about this later, and now the president came out and said that I have used my own resources.
My dear sister, let us not be trivial about things. The president contributing to build a church is something that we should call a press conference for. And you see, it is not Kenyans even who felt. It is one Rigathi Gachagua who came to lie to the public that a church is being built at State House as 1.2 billion because he said he believed the building was done by state resources. So
Now,
that he needed something again to propaganda against the president. But he was embarrassed when the
Right.
president told him, look, I am not using any state resources to build this church,
my
and
money.
it is not 1.2 billion. Yeah? So now they change the story. Oh, it is public land, or it is public land. Oh, Kenya is a secular state. You find somebody at like Bwili Mutunga, somebody who has been a CJ, and when he was a CJ, those churches were there, and he never said it is illegal for a church to be in State House. When President William Ruto wants to just
Odoyo.
approve them, now they are illegal suddenly.
Odoyo, this is what I think. There's no problem building a church. You've said King David and King Solomon walijenga makanisa.
Correct.
Which is a good thing. The only thing that personally I would have, and this is now me personally as Paul Mungala Mbuvi, the only issue I would have with that is you build a church worth 350 million. You go to other churches as well, you're giving this huge amounts of money, 20 million, 100 million, 120 even, and it's a good thing to give to God. I also give God according to my pocket. The problem here lies in the fact that you're doing that, and yet in the same community you're donating all these monies. We have children who are unable to go to school because they either don't have classes, they do not have even schools, the schools do not have teachers, they don't have shoes, and we're talking about children from all denominations. There are Muslims there, there are Catholics there, there are Protestant there, SDS, and so many other denominations we can mention. So the problem is not donating to God. Donate to God. And actually the chairman of NCCK aliketi kwa hiyo kiti tu na akasema, yeye mwenyewe akasema hakuna shida kupatia Mungu pesa na offering yako, lakini si lazima uannounce to the world. Watu wajue Mbuvi amekuja kwa kanisa
Mbuvi
akatoa 100 million.
Don't make the questions very long.
No.
Just ask me a short one, then we go back.
What?
Because I will not remember everything you said.
No, the only issue I've said and that's why I said as Paul Mungala Mbuvi.
Yes.
Is the fact that donate 20 million or even build a church worth 350 million. Yet there are children in this Nairobi going hungry. Why don't you direct those? Because even in my community, our church doesn't cost 350 million, and yet we are more than the people in State House who will use that same church.
Okay, Mbuvi. When you contribute to your churches,
Yes.
do you also go and see if your neighbor's child has gone to school before you contribute to the church?
No, I don't.
Yes. And then
I can't afford to teach to school their children.
no, I'm not saying
But
you
at least
school
mine
them.
I take to school.
No,
Yeah.
you go and give 5,000 in a church.
Right.
Your neighbor, some have not gone to school for a book worth 10 bob. And you don't go to look if there's such a thing. And then let's also be fair to the person of the president.
Okay.
The money may look huge to you, but the media in Kenya once covered President William Ruto as a person who owns a poultry farm with an annual turnover of 560 million. President William Ruto owned multiple businesses and hotels, insurance and all that. If he chooses to work for God that has lifted him to that level, he can do it. He can do it. And this is his personal money. He chooses where to put it. If he wants to put it in the hands of God, and he knows God can then help even those children you are talking about, so be it. Because these people criticizing President William Ruto, they even criticize when he's given money anywhere else. He gives money anywhere, they will criticize. They go and do women empowerment, they criticize. They go and do child education, they criticize. They will criticize anything, not only done by President William Ruto, done by any government official perceived to be close to the president. That is why I want you to see this conspiracy.
So Mungala, unajua najifikiria mimi sasa hivi, if I feel like I have enough money,
right,
natoka tu hapa, mimi naenda najengea pale Central Police,
right,
niende ninawajengea tu kanisa pale. I tend to believe that this is a country, there is the rule of the land. There are some procedures in doing some of these things that people do, and especially anything to do with the state property, state assets. I think there are procedures. I think the where the problem seems to be is the issue of the rule of law. There are procedures that needed to have been followed, and also the aspect of our president during his manifesto talked of transparency. Anything that we are doing, we want to be transparent enough. So that is my opinion.
Yeah.
Even earlier, you had told me the president the government is not communicating well.
Yeah. They're not.
But you see,
yes,
you can only communicate through the media. But when the media has chosen to be biased against you,
right,
it will always appear that you are not communicating. I think to say that even when the president donates to churches, he needs to talk about. And even that church they are talking about that was being built at a foundation, it has not even started. And you can see the heat on it.
Yeah.
And the heat is simply because the president is doing it. And when you talk about Central Police Station, I know it is hypothetical. But who really do we have there to go to church? The State House is an institution. I think you need to take a tour there. It is a village. It is an estate where people who go to church are. And this is the reception of Kenya. When international guests at presidential level come to Kenya, that is where they go. Suppose a head of state is in Kenya for 2 days, and he chooses that because it is Sunday, Your Excellency, why don't we go and pray?
Kuna All Saints, kuna Holy Family Basilica, kanisa ni nyingi.
No.
The governor has
there are those moments that you need to keep your guests not only private, but minimum walking distance. A church service that is going to go for 30 minutes. Why do you need to remove the motorcade, the security to go to All Saints? Do you know the arrangement that would be in All Saints if the president were going to church there? If the president is coming to your home, even for a funeral, 3 days before, they have come and taken over the toilet you will use on that day. They have taken over the dining hall you will use on that day. All that arrangement is unnecessary when you can have a church behind State House, where the people who live within and their guests and their children can go on a Sunday to pray. I think it is very awkward to see a Mabati structure in a magnificent State House compound. Honestly, just be fair to the president.
Wacha president atajajua na Mungu kivyake, mimi nitajajua pia na Mungu kivyangu, according to my offering and offertory.
Mungala, me, I think as a country, we also have enough resources that church could have just been built by resources from the government, not personal resources. First of all, I feel like as a country,
$350 million.
Tuko enough resources zenye tunaweza jenga kanisa pale if we felt like we need that. But I want to take Mr. Ogondo.
Wait a minute.
Kidogo nyuma.
That place before you go anywhere. There is nowhere in the world where churches are built by government, because we normally, unless maybe it is the Muslim world, but the state must be secular as in the constitution. secular. There's no, because which church will the state build? Raw Israel, Catholic, SDA, and so on. So the church must build by the believers. So the president, in his capacity as a believer, chose that in this church, this is my contribution to build it. And possibly there would be other people who would say, Your Excellency, let's help you with something better. Or you have built the church, let's do the seats.
All right. Personally, I wish him all the best as far as that is concerned. We know President amesema mara mingi sana, he's God fearing, he's saved. So again, God will judge us individually. Tutenda siku moja tuambie Ruto na country yako simameni hapa, judgment hili ndio hii.
So I was taking him back to the issue of these abductions, killings and so forth. And then you had quoted the previous governments. You've quoted you've cited 2017, 2007,
exactly.
the chaos, what happened, how we lost people. But then my question is, so should we continue with this? Should the current government continue with this because it happened in a previous government? That was my question.
Because I have respected you because of the way you have handled this. The first time I was told that, I told them that is a gracing field excuse. The reason why I quote those other presidents is so that people are able to see the conspiracy. They see the entitlement, to see the discrimination against President William Ruto. President William is supposed to do that. But to come and say things that his predecessors did casually, for him he's supposed to leave office for doing. We just need to change the president, the way the things are done. We just need to oversight the government and say, look, this is the way things are supposed to be done. Take, for example, when the government banned live broadcasting, the media houses didn't mobilize people to go to the streets. They went to court. Because we had already spilled blood in the streets to get a working constitution, to get an independent judiciary that will rule even against the state. And true to that statement of mine, they ruled against the state. These days, the court rules against the state on a daily basis. And still you are telling us, if we are having a grievance, we should not go to court, we should go to the streets. And again, you cannot go to the streets of things that are not measurables, that they have been achieved. For example, you're saying, I'm jobless, so I'm going to the streets. How will you know now you will stop being jobless? How will you know now it is enough? The government has had me, I will get a job. And it is not the government who employs people. The government creates an environment for investment, and the investments employ people. The government can only employ so much. And again, this unemployment did not begin with President William Ruto.
True, we agree.
Even during Kibaki, there was unemployment. Sure. Even during Uhuru. How come we were not in the streets then for unemployment? Because we were comfortable with whoever was in power. Suddenly, some people are not comfortable with whoever is in power.
So, Odoyo, then allow me to ask you this question.
We went to the streets even before President William Ruto's first budget was read. Azimio was already in the streets.
I have a question. So, we are being unfair to President Ruto. Who is being unfair to President Ruto, specifically?
Very good. The people who feel entitled to the presidency have mobilized their communities to go to the streets against President William Ruto. Now, when you saw the serious issue about the 25th June protests, which roads were full? Thika Road, Kiambu Road. Was where? Kitengela, Dagoretti, Olkalou, Nyeri, Muranga, Kiambu. It is obvious. We just refuse to talk about it because we fear to be mentioned as being tribalist. But if you don't call tribalism by name, it will never end in this country.
In the latest protests,
yes,
over 27 counties.
Yes.
I think one newspaper actually quoted 31 counties.
My brother,
31 counties had protests in one way or another. This country has got 47 counties. So that means there are 16 counties that did not participate, right? I am yet to meet an individual, not even Raila Amolo Odinga, honorable former prime minister, is able to mobilize that much. We have seen protests organized by ODM, and they were not as intense as these ones. We saw during maandamano za ODM, shida zilikuanga sana sana Kisumu, Nairobi. Yes. But in these latest protests, I do not understand how one leader or even a group of leaders are able to mobilize. I'll even tell you what was happening, because I met an Uber driver who came from Mali. Aliniambia the kids, and aliwaita hivyo, kids as young as even 18 and below, not 18 and above, 18 and below, are the ones that were on the road that blocked barabara ya Emali. Na anasema hao watoto, these are his sentence.
When you talk too much, I will forget what you said in the first.
Alisema ya kwamba
dealt with,
alisema kwamba hao watoto
in 37 counties. Then when I finish that, you bring those others.
Hao watoto ndio walikuwa wameblock barabara. You tell me, who are these people who are able to organize even children to that level?
Movie, first of all, the fact that you saw children below 18 on the streets tells you somebody asked them to go. They have no capacity to think there's anything wrong to go. Number two, we, from where I sit, if I wanted a protest in every county, I would achieve it with minimal effort. Very easy. I just need an ally there. And each county, I just need to send 50,000, not 100, not 1 million. Give for this 300 to youth and tell them to go on the street and start a protest. You'll have a protest in every country. So when you tell me that how was somebody able to achieve 37, and when it is the figures you want, the numbers of county that you take to the newspaper and say, oh, there were protests in 37 counties or 17, I don't even know which one you want to believe, 37 or 17. So you will get it if the numbers you want. I have seen this country where policemen are bypassing some people carrying rungus. The cameraman goes to record them. When they are overpass each other, they stop. Then they tell you, we have seen here the police were escorting people carrying rungus. It is not possible that a moving Land Cruiser is moving at the same speed as people carrying rungus and walking. No, but at one point or another, there is a time they are overtaking each other. If you just take your video at that point and take it to the studio, people out there, we have seen illusions in video editing. And they tell us. So let me tell you, my brother, if there were no protests in Migori,
yes,
there is no protest in Kondele, there is no protest in Bungoma,
right,
there is no protest in Kwale, and then you come and tell us Kenyans were protesting because there are protests in Olkalau and Nyeri. It is, you see it. The only problem that President William Ruto has got, which has made this thing very difficult to deal with, is a partisan media. Yesterday, I was watching one of the stations. We have 4 people invited to the studio.
Right.
Plus the hosts. 5. One person was the only one pitching for the president. He could not even be let by the host, not to forget about these other people were quiet, to complete a sentence. When he's about to begin and make a complete sentence about the government of the president, but you know, then I say, is this what we are going to have in the country? First of all, they should have brought 50-50, pro-government and anti-government. And then you sit and moderate. But he was asking, even had a question challenging the guy could not even finish sentence. And that is what goes on in all these legacy media houses. You wake up in the morning, the commentator is about the government not doing this, the government not doing that, the Ruto did this, and then you wonder, is this what we have been having?
In your opinion,
in my opinion,
yes. In your opinion, Odoyo, what do you want the media to do? Wake up every morning and say, like in the days of Mutukufu Rais, Daniel Moi, we sing the national anthem, we praise the president.
Said no, so give it at that.
So what do you expect?
I want them to do is report fairly. You know, we have been told how it is the police that scuttles otherwise peaceful protest. So
if a police officer is caught on camera,
let me finish that before
shooting,
you bring.
We don't report that.
Let me just finish this sentence. I want, we have been told that it is the police who scuttles an otherwise peaceful protest.
Right.
Right. But I have never seen a video showing peaceful protest, the police coming from this side and scuttling that protest. What they will show you is the police chasing people. They will never show you how they all began. You know, sometimes I watch Nigerian short movies.
Right.
And of course, they give you the gist of it. Then they tell you how it all began. They don't tell you how it all began. They want to tell you the moment when the police is committing that crime. And let me also tell you, I have seen police commit what I call brazen murder in the streets during Mandamano. Do you think it is the president who sent them to do that, or their boss? No, they are acting as individuals. When you are the principal of a school, if a teacher canes a child in the classroom, he will take personal responsibility. You will not send that principal home. Because he was in his office when the teacher was committing the crime in class, knowing well the guidelines that they have as teachers. But today, a constable has shot a man in the street. You want the president to go home. Yet even this constable in that very government is in court for the crime. So I think
so we have about 2 minutes. Yeah,
Mungala,
so we have
I think
about 2
we
minutes.
really needed more time to address some of the issues that he's saying, because when you say they are acting on their own behalf, and the other day we just saw the CS saying something. We have seen also the president saying about shooting the leg on the leg.
Yeah,
we have seen so many things. When you say that the police media are covering areas whereby the police before the police start scattering these guys with rungus. Me, I was in town someday and I saw it myself with my naked eyes. Yes, there are so many things. And again, I just wanted to ask you, so Gen Z, this ideology, it is not it is, are you saying that it is somebody's project? It was not Gen Z's project. It was not Gen Z's who are agitating for something.
I need to tell you this. I apparently I know more things than you people are accepting to know. Do you know there was something called Limuru 3? It was covered live for 4 hours. The vitriol that were poured on the person on the presidency. There's a lady who said, make sure you go and give your children money to go into the streets. Limuru 3 conference. I think it was 7th. It was the 7th of June or so. That was, at that meeting was purely Kikuyu, not even Mount Kenya.
Right.
Sitting there was the people who did not go, like I think Uhuru didn't go, but he was represented. Gen Z was a project, and when you pick those people in the streets at random, most likely only one would be a Gen Z out of 10.
Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. I wish we would have had more time to have a better conclusion to this conversation. But nonetheless, thank you so much for making time.
In the future.
Please come again. There are some things I'd really like to pick your brains on.
No, we can always.
Njoo tena tuzungumze, lakini
tutaongea, tutasema.
Ni sawa sawa.